Sold! Here are the keys to your new home. New beginnings sound exciting. From a new marriage to a new home, having access to legal help comes in handy. With Legal Shield, you can connect with a designated law firm that knows your state laws, helping with prenups, real estate contracts, and even wills and estate planning, starting around $1 a day. Legal Shield. Real lawyers, really affordable. For 10% off your annual subscription, sign up at LegalShield.com today. That's LegalShield.com. Legal Shield does not provide legal representation or advice. See a plan for complete terms.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. On October 1st, 1964, a train left Tokyo Station. It traveled to Osaka, a distance of 320 miles. In just over 4 hours. It ran on dedicated tracks at speeds never before achieved in commercial rail travel. It was called the Shinkansen, the bullet train. The opening ceremony of the Tokyo Olympics was the following day. The timing of both of those was not accidental. Japan had something to say to the world, and it was going to say it with a train, a stadium, a city, and a young man carrying a torch who had been born on a specific day in a specific city 19 years earlier. Our history brief today is an excerpt from this Friday's Conversation Series episode and a conversation with best-selling author and historian Thomas Asbridge, where we speak about his latest book, The Black Death, on the history of the bubonic plague. A quick word from our sponsors. This day in history. On June 24th, 1812, Napoleon Bonaparte began his invasion of Russia, launching a campaign that would end in disaster and contribute significantly to his downfall. On June 24th, 1948, the Soviet Union began the Berlin blockade, cutting off ground access to West Berlin and setting the stage for one of the first major confrontations of the Cold War. Story of the day. To understand what Japan was doing in 1964, we really have to understand where Japan was coming from. In August of 1945, the country had surrendered unconditionally to the Allied powers following the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Its cities were in ruins. Tokyo itself had been firebombed in March of 1945 in raids that killed more people in a single night than either atomic bomb. People tend to forget that. Its military was disbanded. Its government was occupied and restructured under American supervision. Its economy was shattered. The Japan of 1945 was a country that had started a war, lost it catastrophically, and been remade from the ground up under foreign occupation. The Japan of 1964 was something else entirely. Its economy was growing at approximately 10% per year, one of the fastest sustained growth rates in economic history. Its industries were producing cars, electronics, and consumer goods that were beginning to compete on world markets. Its cities had been rebuilt. Its people had been fed, educated, and integrated into a democratic political system. In 19 years, Japan had transformed itself from a defeated empire into an economic miracle. The 1964 Olympics was the announcement party, you might say. Tokyo had originally been awarded the 1940 Summer Olympics. Those games had been canceled, obviously, because Japan was at war. The war Japan itself had started. The symbolism of being awarded the 1964 Games was therefore layered in ways that every Japanese citizen and every international observer understood completely. The 1964 Tokyo Olympics was not merely a sporting event. It was the completion of something interrupted. It was a readmission to the community of nations, you might say. It was Japan saying, "We were there in 1940, and we could not come. We are here in 1964. Look what we have become." The preparation for the Games was an act of urban transformation on a scale that very few cities in history have undertaken in such a short time. Tokyo built 15 new venues. It built a metropolitan expressway system, a network of elevated highways that ran through the city at second story level, many of them built directly over the rivers and canals that had defined Tokyo's geography for centuries. The rivers were not rerouted, they were simply covered, their surfaces replaced with concrete, their existence buried under the infrastructure of now a modern city. Tokyo remade its own geography to host the Games. The Yoyogi National Gymnasium, designed by the architect Kenzo Tang, became one of the most celebrated buildings of the 20th century. Its sweeping suspended roof, a statement of Japanese architectural ambition that was impossible to ignore. Tang had previously designed the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. The man who had commemorated Japan's destruction was now designing the building that announced its rebirth. 1964 was the first Olympics in Asia. It was the first Olympics to be broadcast live via satellite to the world. Japan was not merely hosting the Games, it was performing its modernity for a global audience, demonstrating its technological sophistication, its organizational capability, and its integration into the international order it had spent the 1930s and early 1940s trying to destroy. The Shinkansen, running its inaugural journey the day before the opening ceremony, was part of the same performance. No country, after all, with a bullet train was a backward, militarist empire. No country with a bullet train needed to be feared. Japan was modern. Japan was peaceful. Japan was open for business. And the train itself kind of said so. And then there was the torchbearer. The final leg of the Olympic torch relay, the runner who would carry the flame into the National Olympic Stadium and light the cauldron, was a 19-year-old athlete named Yoshinori Sakai. He had been born on August 6th, 1945, in Hiroshima, on the day the atomic bomb fell. The choice of Sakai as the final torchbearer was not announced in advance. When it was revealed, as he ran into the stadium, as the crowd understood who he was and what his birth date meant, the reaction was one of the most emotionally charged moments in all Olympic history. A young man born from the ashes of the most destructive single act of war in human history, carrying a flame of peace into a stadium filled with athletes from the nations that had defeated and occupied his country. It was an act of symbolism so precise and so devastating that it required no commentary. Japan had turned its deepest wound into its most powerful statement. The 1964 Tokyo Olympics succeeded on every level that it was designed to succeed on. Japan's athletes performed brilliantly. The host nation finished third in the overall medal count. The organizational execution was flawless. Tokyo's Games were praised universally as the best run in Olympic history to that point. The global image of Japan was transformed. The country that had been synonymous with Pearl Harbor and Bataan and Hiroshima was now synonymous with bullet trains and suspended roofs, and a young man born on the day of the bomb carrying a torch of peace. The economic miracle continued. By 1968, Japan had the second largest economy in the world. The History Brief. The following is an excerpt from this Friday's Conversation Series episode and a conversation with best-selling author and historian Thomas Asbridge, where we speak about his latest book, The Black Death, on the history of the bubonic plague. The entire video interview is already available for our Patreon subscribers and will be released on our YouTube channel this Friday, along with the regular podcast feed release wherever you're listening to this podcast.
What I was really interested in was trying to understand what it was like to live and breathe and die through this terrible crisis. And that I didn't think the secondary literature up to this point had done, that it hadn't really gone in to explore the human dimension, both at an emotional level, but at experiential level. And the great pleasure for me of working on the book was being able to do that at a level that I hadn't in earlier periods when, if the Black Death had occurred in the 11th or 12th century, I think we'd have much less in terms of the survival of material. But because it's coming from the 14th century, now we have wills, we have much more survival of administrative material. We also have some stuff equivalent to modern diaries and surviving contemporary letters. And that means that I can dig in not only to what we might think of now as the top 1%, not just the royalty and the high level nobles, but you can go through all the different levels of society, look at merchants, you can even go down to look at the peasant farmer class and try and understand what it was like for them. And that was the real joy for me, was being able to look across all of society, not just the rarefied few.
Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you are enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both of those links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. And please don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, where we have different series that are not part of this main feed. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.